I just listened to DoorDash's over 40-minute quarterly earnings call for Q2 2024. That's typically targeting large investors, but sometimes what's said and what slips through the cracks here, specifically for you and I as Dashers, I want to see, are Dashers making more money? What did they say, the company directly, about Dashers? What's new for you and I as Dashers in 2024 and beyond? Let's see what they said. First question asked about your bread and butter, basically. The majority, probably, maybe not anymore in 2024, so let me know. The majority of typical orders, the restaurant space. And is the market share in the restaurant space leveling out? Is it tapering off? CEO Tony Xu said no. Not only are they in the, quote, early innings of market penetration, surprisingly maybe for restaurants, but the growth is strong here with new customers in the restaurant delivery space, DoorDash capturing 1 out of every 2. And you kind of think, well, who else is there? Like, there's kind of just Uber Eats. Grubhub is a smaller market share, but between at least the major providers here, DoorDash is capturing more customers than anyone else. Right, but then DoorDash also wants to reduce customer fees, and they're also having higher retention of customers joining DoorDash, now more so than ever on new verticals, not restaurant, like grocery delivery. How are they doing all this while getting more and more consumers who are actually staying on the platform? Now here, CFO Ravi Nakonda really talked about something that was mentioned at least 4 times in this 40-plus minute earnings call. That is their newer ads platform, or consumer packaged goods, CPG advertisers. So there's space on the DoorDash consumer app, and then these CPG companies can advertise their business, specific products, specials, etc. somewhere on this DoorDash app. So DoorDash is getting more revenue, albeit slowly. And Tony mentioned several times here, he doesn't want to go too fast, accelerating into CPG ads, the ad space, having, again, these companies, advertisers on the DoorDash consumer platform, that they're getting a lot of attention and it'll come. But there's also, of course, revenue from that, but there's also efficiencies possibly with Dashers. Now going back to, again, Ravi Nakonda, DoorDash's CFO, talking about a term that if you hear this on any earnings call or DoorDash publication here, usually framed towards investors, of Dasher efficiencies. So Dasher efficiencies basically just mean savings on Dasher costs. Now I've seen it broken down on other quarters. Acquisition costs, paying for advertising to get new Dashers, paying guarantees, paying bonuses for new Dashers, acquisition costs. But then there's also overall Dasher costs, which is just basically how much they're paying Dashers with promotions and base pay. On one hand, it doesn't mean the company is drastically and massively slashing Dasher pay across the board, but I'll say, anecdotally, I'm betting if you've been dashing for a couple of years here, you can probably agree. Let me know in the comments. The peak pay, where's it gone? Where's it gone over the years? Like, I used to see a consistent $1 to $3, $3.50 per delivery peak pay here in Pittsburgh. I saw it years ago in San Diego, a consistent peak pay. And I'm seeing that same kind of shavings of efficiencies on Uber Eats as well. It's not just DoorDash. I will continue to follow that closely because there's efficiencies. We want to operate leanly. We want to be profitable like now Uber is for the first time just last quarter, Q1, I believe. And DoorDash also wanting to have satisfied Dashers. And I've seen surveys that per DoorDash, Dashers are satisfied, but are a lot of those new Dashers that are responding to those surveys because things are constantly and always changing with these apps. Now I always want to talk about what's next. What should you be looking at on the Dasher app as far as offers that I'm going to get? I told you a year and a half ago, shop and deliver. And now fast forward 2024, it seems like what you can share here in Pittsburgh. I see half, maybe 40%. And I'm being generous here on my offers being shop and deliver. In reality, it probably is much higher, at least on my profile. I'm just one Dasher. So when asked about new verticals, what are new verticals? It's things other than restaurant. It's the grocery orders. It doesn't have to be shop and deliver, but sometimes it is. Okay. Grocery, retail, alcohol, convenience, packages, and the like. All that stuff are new verticals. So here, Tony mentioned on the traditional vertical, the initial restaurant food delivery, that order frequency is going up. So let's say a customer on average would order 3 times a month. So order frequency would be like 3.6 times on average. 4 times a month, their order frequency is going up. But these numbers are going up much higher on all those new verticals that I mentioned. So as a Dasher, late 2024 into 2025, I think we're going to continue to see emphasis on these orders, getting customers in these different niches, not just food delivery. Obviously, they always want to add more and more partners on food delivery. But the new verticals, I think, for better or worse, let me know what you think about grocery retail, the shop and deliver, the alcohol, any packages and stuff. I think we're certainly going to continue to see that in 2025. Next, anyone worried about your flexibility as a Dasher? You're an independent contractor, right? I can go online, offline, whenever I want. I'm not required to wear a uniform. I can decline as much as I want, and I have that ability. But some marketplaces, California with Prop 22, and then regulations on minimum earnings, New York City and Seattle. Are we going to see more of that? Does DoorDash feel worried about increased regulation? So here Tony mentioned that there are surveys, and my surveys for you, our team members here, echo pretty much the same thing, that everyone, like 90+%, it's even higher, I think, on DoorDash's survey, want to remain independent contractors so you have flexibility. Now, Ravi mentioned that the financial impact of these increased regulations, having to pay more under Prop 22, New York City, Seattle, etc., it's a small piece of DoorDash's business. And Tony reiterated that they don't think it's going to expand, and that most governments, countries, etc., that they've worked with agree with what workers want and giving workers, independent contractors, what they want. And actually, help me out down below in the comments. What marketplace do you drive or work in, and how many hours are you dedicating to your side hustle? It doesn't have to be DoorDash, but comment down below right now, please, because I want to compare it to what DoorDash's CEO, Tony Xu, said, in that Dashers on average, like 90+% are dashing less than 10 hours a week. And on average, a Dasher is typically dashing 3 to 4 hours a week. Now, keep in mind, for our sample size, if you're watching videos on the gig economy, the side hustle economy, you're clearly more invested than someone who's just casually doing this. Tony was again asked about the consumer fees, trying to lower those consumer fees and how you're going to do it. So operational efficiencies, having more partners, more selection, improving their logistics platforms, and again, asked about the CPG ads business. I get it. These are investors that are asking, and it does frankly seem like a really good new revenue stream for the company to have companies, CPG, companies advertising their products and services on the DoorDash app. It makes sense. And that kind of could be a good thing, because that's a completely separate new revenue stream, that advertising platform, where it wouldn't have to touch or interact a Dasher algorithm, pay structure, etc. Now, I mean, to be frank, I know they're trying to operate leanly and save on costs, etc. But I guarantee this, the system's not going to work unless you have enough satisfied Dashers. So I always root for any company to obviously pay your independent contractors fairly. And there's a lot of debate on that, of course, but to survey your workers, survey your independent contractors to see, does it make sense? Do they enjoy the platform? Because like I've told you and I've shown, if I've done a gig app and it pays like next to nothing, I'm not going to do it. Case closed. And then lastly, thinking about partner supply, because if there's more partners on the platform, more grocery stores, more restaurants, more retail, more shops, etc., that's more attractive for a customer to have choice, because maybe I'm trying to shop at, maybe I'm trying to order from my favorite place, my go-to spot for snacks, or I need supplies. If it's not on DoorDash, you're going to clearly go to another competitor or directly to that company's website to try to order from them. Consider a marketplace of like 2,000 merchants and partners. And DoorDash does a really good job signing up new partners. Speed up 1 year, now it's 3,000 merchants and partners. So as long as there isn't a big influx of Dashers if the supply is relatively the same, we'll say, compared to other years, because Dashers are always quitting and joining. If they can sign up more partners, then hopefully, again, gives you more options. Now, Tony mentioned during this call, there's no one category they're specifically targeting. And I get it. They're bullish on like everything they do, restaurant, grocery, convenience, alcohol, package, etc. But I'll tell you, from listening to all these quarterly calls, they're certainly, in my opinion, focusing on new verticals. I think all this other stuff, in addition to restaurant, is going to continue to grow faster than restaurants. Restaurant is still a staple, and I would look for the new Dasher preferences. If you don't want to do shop and deliver, I've said this before, but I would love a filter in there that filters by verticals. If I don't want to do grocery, if I don't want to do package, if I don't want to do this and that, I can toggle off in that beta pilot program eventually if it comes out to all marketplaces in Dasher preferences. But yeah, nothing explicitly about Dashers like, oh, how's your Dasher supply? Are Dashers dashing more or less? How's the pay? Any new features or incentives for Dashers? I get it. These are investors. We're talking big top and bottom line here, not specifically the one sector of Dashers. It's like the same thing as asking about any new back-end system features for merchants, for customers. They're talking high level, but I try to kind of read between the lines there to help you out. So where do you think DoorDash is going specifically for Dashers in 2025?